comfortably than they do in person, and make edgy
Well,
jokes
yeah.
on the internet and not,
Yeah.
There's a significant difference between saying it in real life, saying it on the internet to some rando person. Like it's a respect thing. Like you don't do that.
And
Like, it's
and
just
then my
fucked
question
up.
is always like, where are you from, and like, why do you feel the need to say it? Like, if you're like from the burbs or like some fucking frat kid who went to like prep school or some shit like that, like I don't want to hear that shit coming out your mouth. But like, but at the same time, you talk about like the Spanish community, like the Latin community in fucking New York City, right? Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, they say the N word regularly
all the time.
but they also feel as if they are a part
own
of
it,
that
they
culture.
own it.
They
Yeah,
own it. They are a part of it. They'll tell you that they're black.
I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you, man. I'm from New York, so I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but you go to LA, and if I hear a
They will
Mexican
not
say
do
it,
that
it's,
shit
it's
in
going to
LA.
be different.
Yeah,
like,
it's gonna be
it's going
different.
to be a whole different situation.
Yeah,
Like
I
the thing
think
is,
I think you'd feel different if a Dominican was saying it versus.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
100%. But at the same time, the argument can be made. If you're not African American, should you be saying it? Like that's what we're all asking, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah.
But I'm saying like that's not necessarily the case. And if you understand
Wait,
the
hang
culture,
on.
then you understand it.
Question mark.
It's regional.
African American? Oh, is it like just an African American?
Well, technically, like if you're fucking from Africa and shit, and like if you're from Africa, if you're not from America, and that word really doesn't affect you in any sort of way, then I don't think you have the same merit to even discuss it or tell other people, well, I don't think it's a big problem that people say it. It's like, dude, you're a first generation fucking American. Your parents were not in the fucking civil rights movement. Like your mom didn't have to fucking swim in a fucking pool, literally called the oil well. Like. Your grandparents were not literally marching in Birmingham. Like, so what the fuck are we talking about here? Like hell no, they don't have the same fucking clause to speak on this shit or give people the pass.
What if their grandparents though had done apartheid shit? I don't know.
They were then they can dictate who's calling who the other K word. That sounds like calf. It ends with another ER.
I'm not being serious, by the way. I'm just being a contrarian.
Not gonna lie, I don't know what word this is. Not gonna lie.
I don't know if there's a reg here, but if I could say it, can you say something for educational reasons? Because the word is
it's a C, by the way, just to clarify.
Is it a C?
N-word. Just say the N-word with the A at the end.
It has the same name as a popular yogurt.
I think you are allowed to say that. To be honest with you, I don't think that's
popular yogurt.
I'm gonna stand on it. I'm just gonna say it, just because it's the word. It's terrible. I'm gonna say it with
the word. So it doesn't really matter.
Can I say it with the? I'm gonna say it with the A, because that's not a word. And no one says.
Oh, it's not a word. Okay.
So kafa. But if you threw a
wait, I've heard of this. Okay, yeah,
okay.
Oh, okay. You said K-slur, and I thought you were talking about
so if you went through. So if you're a part of South American apartheid, and you went through that shit, then you can tell people how to use that word, because that's what you were a part of.
Yeah, I agree with the African American thing. By the way, I'm just being contrarian.
No, please. And I feel like I wouldn't have the right to say anything about anybody else's culture, the words they call them. That's why I feel the same thing about the word bitch.
That kind of depends, though. Like, there are some parts with inclusivity. Like, again, if you're first immigration, well, there are some parts we would want them to be integrated and be part of it.
That doesn't always happen, and a lot of the times they look down on the other black people in that community. You know what I'm saying?
But demonic. That's not even like where I was getting at. What I was getting at was like the gamer culture that has now come about, where they just say it like that, and it means nothing. Like in Call of Duty, all these shooters.
Well, it means something, or else they wouldn't say it. They know it's the most offensive thing
they're
in the
saying
world.
they're saying it because it's offensive. I don't think they're saying it's because it's like.
I think they're saying it because it's really offensive.
Because shock value.
Honestly, they're just saying it because they just want to piss you off in a game. Literally, just to cripple you. Literally that only.
They call each other the same thing, though.
Yes, it's a gamer.
Yeah, I know.
Thing. It's weird.
Yeah. No, it's a thing to cripple people while they're playing, so that
but they don't even do it that way.
They're trying to cripple somebody by making them mad. I don't think that's
yes. What you mean? Like they do that all the time.
Call me that shit. I'm dropping 30.
Why do you think they attack people's mom all the time so they can cripple them so they can
demonic?
Get mad?
Like if you played demonic,
I'm dropping 30
Rust.
Bodies,
Demonic, if you played Rust and heard these 16-year-old kids,
I got on Rust, it's on Nazi flags and left.
Rust is basically just slurs, and then there's some light, like first-person shooter elements in the game.
There was no slurs. There were no slurs in Rust. Well, I saw a whole compound that was dedicated to Nazis.
Yes,
like that shit was crazy.
Yeah, well, they do that to just piss everybody off and piss the
and because also they're Nazis.
And the fact that they
they could also be edgy 10-year-olds, like.
No, they're literally 15-year-olds. That's what they're doing.
Well,
they're
that's all, like edgy 15-year-olds also exist.
Well, that's the culture of the internet. It's like you try to find like the most edgy, the most fucking gross thing you could say. It's like that 4chan culture. Like you try to find the most gross, edgy thing you can say and see if you can get some fucking laughs out of it. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
now,
I'm not really like that. I think it's kind of fucking silly.
Most people grow out of that, though, right?
Yeah, but like, let's say somebody clips that now, okay, and they find out who you are, where you live, and all these things, and they like it's a 22-year-old kid, and they send it to say like his college or something like that.
What they dox him, essentially.
Should he be condemned for that behavior that he did online?
Should he be banned? How about this? Should he? So there's IPP permaban from the fucking game. That's easier to do. You have AI track it. You have AI track it, and yeah, I think it should. I mean, why not?
What if it's not Nazis?
I mean, the question is, should toxic behavior be allowed to fester on online games?
I don't know. I think like it's like riding the line. It's riding the line.
How though? He's just because they're trying to be funny, that doesn't make it okay. I mean,
I agree.
What if I want to cheat? What if I want to cheat and download an aimbot because I just want to be funny?
That's against TOS. That's different.
Okay,
so is hate speech.
That's not the same.
So is hate speech.
The whole toxic culture should have been left in like fucking 2014. Like these people know these things now. The internet is so easily accessible to everybody.
Not every community, man, is like that. Like that's what I'm trying to tell you. Is it's weird.
Just because not every community is like that doesn't mean they shouldn't.
Look, if you should be able to say it in a video game, then you should be able to say it on YouTube. Then, right? I mean, why not?
Probably. Not sure. YouTube, audiences on YouTube and shit.
Audiences
like
are different. It's a different audience.
Audiences online, I mean, are pretty immature and young. I would say. I mean, I know that the fucking age limit is 18, but kid, yeah. I mean, I know the age limit is 18, but kids are fucking 6 years old on Call of Duty and shit. You run into Fortnite, and you run into squeakers every day. Like that's half of the goddamn community. That's who they sell to.
No, like universal law, right? It's down to the company and how they want to be perceived. They decide.
This is why my nephew's PlayStation is not connected to the internet.
Right.
I'm not even joking. It's never been connected to the internet and never will.
You don't get him the PSN or something like that.
Dude, he's 13 now. Like I'm up here with anxiety. Like I'm just waiting for Andrew Tate to come out of his mouth.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
No, but I'm not joking. Like 13 is like perfect fucking age for that shit. Terrifying.
Yo, Uncle Tonks, how you feel about Andrew Tate?
He's a bitch.
No, the worst part is.
What color is your Bugatti?
My sister and her husband are both teachers. Their children are incredibly fucking well behaved. And I have warned both of them about Andrew Tate and that they have to pay attention to their son right now. But no, it's terrifying. I hate it.
I told my nephew he got to pay attention to Andrew Tate too, but for totally different reasons.
Oh, that's terrible. Actually terrible.
I one time saw a photo. You ever saw that photo? Andrew Tate with his like bathrobe and Sid kind of like split his legs, sort of, and the guy says like, or something like this. Yeah, so it's like, hey, look. So it's like, hey, look, Andrew show his Tate.
He shows his taint.
Like Andrew Tate or Tate. Yeah, I mean, it's kind
How old are you?
Hey, Tonks, do you want to play Battlegrounds?
No, fuck Battlegrounds.
You want to play some Roblox?
Come on, man.
Damn, come on.
The only thing we're playing is fucking Arena.
Come on. But Tonks, Battlegrounds is fucking fire.
No, fuck that shit.
Wait, I saw someone playing Battlegrounds 2, though.
Guys.
DMZ is so much better.
Hearthstone.
Yeah, Hearthstone Battleground. Tonks knew what I said. Tonks, I can teach you how to play. I'm really good.
No, I'm an old difficult man. I played this in beta. I'm gonna play what I've always done.
I've played this in beta too. I mean, like I've.
I don't even. The only time I play ranked is when I'm forced to because I need more money to play arena. Like I pretty much exclusively play arena.
Ranked is unplayable at this point. I have like.
It's really hard to make decent decks.
I think I have 4K gold. I just haven't been spending it because all I play is Battlegrounds.
Yeah, all I play is arena.
But Battlegrounds is real fun, man. You should play it.
But arena is also fun and challenging and fun.
No.
Oh.
It's just incorrect statements, but it's okay.
Incorrect statement, bro.
Both of you guys are incorrect because the DMZ
Yeah.
is that.
I mean, I'll change around
Yeah,
everything.
change.
Fuck Hearthstone. Anyone want to play fucking
Call of
Soul
Duty
Calibur?
DMZ.
Anyone want to get crushed?
Oh, are you talking about Warzone? Wait, are you talking about Warzone?
Yeah,
No.
that shit is lit. Warzone DMZ, shit is lit.
Fuck that shit.
Nah. Not gonna lie, it gets boring.
Warzone is just kind of mid. I mean, on
Yeah.
all the Call of Duty games, they haven't really changed much mechanics-wise to make it entertaining.
Because they're perfect mechanics.
You can't
Honestly,
just republish
I ain't
like
feel-
the same game with minor.
They
like,
can. They do it all the
graphical
time. What are you
change.
talking about?
You're right, they can.
Boy,
And people
mate,
can
it's
still make
stupid
money off of
fucking
it. I just don't like supporting franchises like that.
Really?
I'm saying they've only really made two.
No.
Like Assassin's Creed, they're doing like the same thing over and over again. Only
Okay,
once
brother,
in a while.
they've done a lot of work
Do you
with
own a single
Assassin's
sports
Creed.
game?
Assassin's-
I'm curious right now. Do you own a single sports game?
No, I don't. I
You're
can't play
based-
those.
you're based-
Yeah,
Based, you're
exactly.
based.
He wouldn't own the sports
based.
games. Like
No.
they'd be similar, bro.
So,
Literally.
also, talking about Assassin's Creed, they do try to do different things. I mean, look
Yeah,
at
they've been
Valhalla.
really
It
good.
was dog shit,
oh.
but they were so different from every other game they've made.
True.
I mean, like,
True.
there's-
I actually have
good
that
in
game.
case.
I mean,
that
they
game.
they did a
Oh.
fantastic job with the Egyptian one and the Greek one compared
yeah,
to all the
those
other
were both
ones.
good. Black,
Like it was
Black,
genuinely a breath of fresh air.
Black Flag also had a lot of
Black
good
Flag was
mechanics.
Black Flag is the only one I really like.
Should never have been an
But-
Assassin's
okay.
Creed game.
Black
It's-
But from all the characters from Assassin's Creed, who's the most iconic one of all of them?
Ezio.
Ezio.
Of course,
yeah.
you see, like, I don't remember any of those guys.
But it doesn't matter because the thing is they are trying to do different things. Just because no one appreciates it doesn't mean it's not happening.
I hate to say it. I love 3. 3 was one of
That's
my
fine.
favorites.
Really?
That was one of my
Call of Duty
favorites.
You
What
might
is
as well
the
just say you
one
like
where
fucking
he's, like,
Unity,
in,
man. Like
That shit was
Ezio
basic fuck.
Auditore, is that the second one, or is it like the
Yeah,
third one?
that's
Yeah,
it.
it's your
The
second
Italian
one.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
yeah,
was
that
the
was the best
official
one.
second.
Also, the only one that I've ever played.
It's very good.
The third
that's the
was
one
good.
that Smosh made that sick song about.
Oh yeah, and I got a bone to throw. Na, na, na.
I like how
Smosh.
deep they went in story on 3 because it felt like you were like, well, you technically were. You were like in the colonial ages, shit like that, the colonial era in America, and then all of a sudden, like you switch over to being this fucking Native American, and then you got like those Native American moves. Like that shit was fucking a dope ass game, and the movement was sexy.
I feel like
the whole sections when you're outside of the cities where you're like jumping about the trees. I think that's the big bit that people didn't like. Or certainly the bit that I
bro, it's just
did. Apart from
Assassin's
that, I
Creed-
thought it was really enjoyable.
Assassin's Creed is a good series, but like FIFA, fucking, I mean NBA, like 2K, like all those games are ass. I mean,
Yeah,
like
well, they're just
they're-
Yeah, I
replicas
hate
of each.
those fucking.
those are
sports
the
games.
those are
only
the
one-
games that I have issues with. COD, like they do at least some minor aesthetic changes. Like they'll put the same game in World War II, they'll put the same game in the future. At least they try that, but it's like the same game still. If I want to
Yeah.
play the same game, I'll just go play
I feel
fucking
like-
CS:GO. That game hasn't changed in God knows how long.
Do you guys know what that? Do you guys know what game I
Call of
want them
Duty's been
to
running
fucking
for 20
fix?
Years, mate.
What
Right?
game?
I feel like if Call of Duty have been running for 20 years yet. Years, mate. They have to fix a lot of those problems, bro, right?
I never seen a game change as
So?
much as No Man's Sky. Like that goddamn game changes. Like, I mean, they have this
No.
new expansion coming out called Utopia, and that shit is amazing. Like, they're essentially.
I'm sure it's a good game, but when I bought it, like at launch,
Yeah.
it was a
It was
lie.
ass.
And like I was thinking about this like 10 seconds ago because I saw like the new expansion like coming out, and I'm like, should I
Fractal?
just buy it again? Because I
Yes,
sold my
yes.
PS4 and stuff and play
should
it.
buy it.
But at the same time, that motherfucker fucking lied to me.
I
It
have
goes
500.
on sale-
No,
it
he
goes
lied
on
to
sale for
everybody,
$30
but
bucks.
they've done more to fix their lie than any company ever has done in the
Yeah.
history of gaming.
Yeah, but
I
like
have
if I
to
buy
agree.
this now, they're gonna think like maybe like this is okay, right?
It's not
No, they
okay.
won't.
It is insane. Like,
You-
like no, they
No.
are the example. They are the example of what to do when you fuck up. They are
Yep.
the example.
I mean, but that's most games these days. The public, they get it out now, fix it later. Like Cyberpunk.
No, but like
and all that shit.
this is like creating a new game after you release the game. Like this is way above board from what any other developer would do.
But it wasn't
You
back
saw
then.
three.
Remember the PS2, the Xbox, even the GameCube, right? You get what you pay for, right? Mostly.
Yeah,
'cause
I don't disagree with that mentality being a problem.
It's
But
just like
It's
everything's just rush. You need to be dead right now. It's like Guys, give it another 8 months. I don't care. I can wait.
Okay, but that's usually up to the publishers, though, not the developers.
No Man's Sky.
What game was this?
No Man's Sky. Here's the issue, though. I mean,
No Man's Sky, also Cyberpunk and all that. It's like
Cyberpunk was trash. Like
it still is.
They had so much
Cyberpunk is fun now.
Completely dropped the ball.
Don't say
I thought you were talking about Final Fantasy 14, which actually did the same thing too. Like,
all those games, right? Like all those games, right? Like take your time to like. I don't mind. Let's say if I wasn't never into No Man's Sky or Cyberpunk, but if I was, at least take it like even more time need to fix it because it's just by the time it came out, it's broken to fix it. It's like I'm not really into it anymore.
You have to also
I understand that.
But you also have to understand how many rampaging fucking fanboys there are who absolutely get pissed at companies for taking an extra month to push back their game. There's so many games where you see that situation. I mean, look at fucking KSP2. That game released in a completely dog shit state. Sons of the Forest released in a completely dog shit state. But the thing is, if they don't do that, the fans are gonna cry. Like you need to recognize.
They cry even more when the game turns out shit, though.
I don't think that's true. I think it's an equal amount of crying.
They have
a lot of the time.
They have a reason to cry though, because aren't they paying and buying these games on a set schedule, and they're pre-ordering them and spending hard fucking cash on these games, thinking they're going to release when they're going to release.
I also don't agree with pre-ordering games. That's something that I don't do.
Well, that's the problem.
I don't pre-order, don't go into early access unless you know what you're getting or you're willing to take the risk.
It's just not smart.
Most fans of any community, like if they're like a huge fan of like a popular franchise, right? I guarantee you that most fans will basically be like, you know what? If they need to take like 2 or 3 more extra months for the game, that's 100% fine as long as it turns out good. Because Cyberpunk
got pushed back for how many fucking years? Like I mean, like they did push it back. Same with fucking No Man's Sky. It got pushed back for so many years. They still released an unfinished fucking product, and that's like I'm not too upset because at least they tried to release something, and they've done so much like the labor they've put into that game for no reason. No one expected anything from them. They could have ran with the fucking money easily. They got so much goddamn money on launch. But like it's just I don't agree with pre-ordering. I don't fucking buy the $70 games out of principle either. I mean, like, it's just kind of goofy to assume that games aren't gonna release with bugs and unfinished aspects. I don't know. It's kind of expected to me at this point with how gaming goes, especially as like titles are getting more and more like fucking feature creepy. Like fucking, like they want to do more with these games. It makes sense that there's gonna be aspects that are missing or unfinished. It's just I would rather for these companies to release an unfinished product and maybe be more honest, like be like, hey, this is a buggy piece of shit. So I mean, if you play,
you won't buy it.
People will still buy it. That's if you think people won't buy a buggy piece of shit, there's so many games that people have bought that are buggy pieces of shit.
That's their whole early access thing, though. When you think
about
it,
like Battlefield 2042.
Yeah, that game was dog shit, and it still got thousands of players.
All I want, I think everyone here wants is just another Battlefield 2142.
You're so right.
I feel like you're saying.
Wait, everybody's saying that, but I have I've never seen 2142 ever.
I was the best. I literally was ranked #1 with the Voss rifle in that game.
It was great. It was awesome.
You had mechs and shit. It was so badass. Like you could like jump right into a mech warrior type of motherfucker and walk around the field and just like bust at people. And if you were like a fucking special agent, you were like or special forces, you would take C4, mount that shit to your vehicle, and then like drive that shit under a mech and then light their legs up. It was so sick.
In the last 2 years, how many games have really released without issues? Because I can't think of many. Like even like
Titanfall 2.
Okay, no, those had so many issues. But like even look at Elden Ring, it had so many glitches you could speed run it in like 10 minutes. Fucking, I mean, maybe like I don't know.
Like with Hogwarts Legacy, I mean, like with I haven't actually seen like a lot of bug reports. The only main thing that they had to fix when Hogwarts Legacy released was like FPS drops for like computer players, but they literally patched that up within like 4 days of its release.
But it also has other issues with just like it has content, but it's just kind of fucking lame. I don't like the lack of spells. There really isn't that many. The versatility in gameplay is like near zero. I can't see any reason to replay it except to like get some side quests from a different house. I don't know. it's
Maybe
not
it's gonna
too
be
ambitious of a
better.
project.
Maybe we'll make a new game out of it someday.
Yeah,
N-
Hogwarts
nah.
Legacy 2. Yeah, I mean,
Nah, I
hopefully.
don't think so. I don't think they're gonna make a Hogwarts Legacy 2. I'm
Wasn't it
gonna
already
rank
like
that they
announced?
do.
Remake the game.
Wasn't it already announced though that they were gonna make a second title?
Better, this shit is lit.
A second one? Nah, not from what I've heard. I've heard that there could be a potential for DLC content in the future.
They already said they were gonna do a DLC though. Yeah.
They're always gonna do a DLC if the game sells.
Well, they haven't specifically said that they were gonna do a DLC because they would talk because a lot of fans are like, oh, push out a DLC, and they said that we're not gonna focus on DLC potential right now, meaning that like it's not gonna happen like anytime soon, but there's still possibilities that it could happen. But
I think the magic system and the whole fucking Harry Potter universe is fucking boring.
I love it. I'm a Harry Potter fan like through and through. Like I love this shit.
I was when I was a lot younger.
Yeah, I was too.
But it's just, I feel like whenever you get introduced to other universes with more than 20 spells used, it's like, fuck, this is like dog shit.
No. The spell system and the combat system is really fun, and honestly, when you're watching the series or when you're watching all the films over, it's like now I'm like learning just from the movies, bro. And when I walk up on Wizard, I'm just like Expelliarmus, like immediately, and trying to like knock their damn wand out of their hand and shit like that. That shit is fun, and then, like the way you upgrade your system, and you can switch by holding R2 and then using the D-pad, you can actually control your fucking combinations much easier. You just gotta think about it.
And there's 4 combinations as well, so you can basically have a total of 16 spells on one hand. It's really fucking nifty, and they actually have combos and set per spell.
I've seen so many fucking memes about just beating the whole game with Avada Kedavra. Like it's just what?
Yeah, that's kind of fucked up. I haven't gotten any curses yet, but that's fucked up.
I mean, like,
oh yeah, sorry, go on.
It seems other stuff before you get the spell, right? So how can you beat the whole game with that spell?
Yeah, it's usually towards like the end of the game.
Well, I mean, but honestly, in open world games like that, people can unlock it like really fast, especially if you're just focusing on like grinding your character up and then turning around and sweeping through the main storyline.
Like later on in the game.
But it's really not that you don't get that late in the game. I imagine there's also ways to speedrun getting it. Like
I mean,
games
the cool thing. Oh, sorry, go on.
No, you're good. You can go.
Oh, sorry to interrupt, but I was just gonna say, like, so what they do, they have like they have a main story cap per side quest, so you have to actually do like a little bit of the main quest before you unlock more side missions. So like where you get the 3 unforgivable curses, you have to probably progress through like the story halfway or a little halfway in order to even at least get 2 of them, and then you have to do like the last trial run to get Avada Kedavra.
I didn't buy the. I bought the game for myself. What?
30 hours then?
I don't know what you're saying. I'm sorry.
I said round about 20 to 30 hours then you've got to put into the game before you actually get these types of spells.
It's probably a lot earlier than that. I mean, I think there's people who got it in like 5 hours, but I mean, I don't know.
2 days early.
So, like, I bought the game. I played like 2 hours, and then I refunded it because it just wasn't that great of an experience. But I've watched my wife. I've watched my wife play through a lot of it. I bought it for her too, and I mean, like. Watching her play, it's a whole lot more entertaining than playing it myself. I think the combat is like whatever. It tends to be like when I did any fighting, like I went as like a level fucking, I don't know, like 5 or 6 and wiped out a goblin camp of like level fucking 12s. Like it's not mechanically a difficult game even on a hard difficulty. Like it's made for family friendly like children. It's not bad. It's just it's not, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair. I've just been a Harry Potter fan ever since I was like really, really little, and to have like a game be submerged, like you actually being a student at Hogwarts, having your own wand in your own house, that shit, like even then, that shit just had to be toned in. One thing I was mad about. Oh, go on. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say I think there's so many different universes with a much more diverse lore, a deeper magic system that I'd much rather see a game like that be made for. I mean, like, I get what, because Harry Potter is like fucking has universal acclaim, so it makes sense, but it's just kind of upsetting. I think it's kind of a bland universe.
Brim, what is your age, Brim?
I don't know if that's true, man.
Yo, Brim, what
I don't think that's necessary.
Why are you curious about that?
He's got a wife. Don't worry about it.
To have your idea on on video games? Because the older you are, you had a different perspective of video games.
I mean, I don't know. I've played a lot of fucking games since 2004, 2005 is when I got into games. I
What
played
console you started?
I had PC. I've had a PC like my whole life. I had like a little HP workstation back when I was a lot younger.
Oh, the good old days.
Yeah, I played World of Warcraft on that bad boy.
Yeah, I remember the
because,
HPs.
People that are 30 and older, this concept, these ideas you have of hard mechanics, they were never a thing. Just play games to have fun, and the games will was enjoyable experience.
I
Nobody cared
think
about, oh, you beat a hard game. No, it was just about having fun.
difficulty is what makes a game entertaining, though, in the sense of like actually not beating things in one sweep. I mean, fucking WoW had so many hard fucking bosses from a young age, and if you had one little or young age in the sense of that game's release time, and if you had one little mess up in like the fucking cog of your party, you'd be fucked. Like you'd get wiped.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
was
like this is
14 playing that. Like,
yeah, like
yeah.
the game didn't assist you at all with the map. You had to fucking learn the world. Like games have always had difficult aspects to it. You can't say that hard games never existed.
No, what I'm trying to say is the idea of focusing so much on hard mechanics is a new concept. Before there wasn't like that. Well, just play the games. If it was hard, it was hard. You play until you beat it. This idea of, oh, I like hard games, I like hard mechanics, this is a whole new concept that is very recent.
I don't think that's true. One,
yeah.
and also on what I was gonna.
That it's a new mechanic for people to say that it's difficult.
I was also gonna. Yeah.
Continue. I'm sorry. But
No, you're good. We kept talking over each other. That's my fault.
I'm sorry, mate. No, you're okay, Brian. I'm sorry. On you go, please.
Oh, it's my bad. What I was gonna say though is that like it's new in the sense of like people like to show off with it more, I suppose. Like maybe, but that's about it. Outside of that, it's like hard game mechanics have always existed. It's always been like the satisfaction you get from beating a hard mechanic is so much better. The issue with games like Harry Potter is in a lot of newer games, whenever you go to the hard difficulty, all it is dodging more and just doing more attacks. They just raise the health of enemies. That's it. Like they raise the health, they raise the damage, and that's all they do. Like it's games like Hogwarts Legacies. I think God of War has the same thing.
System, so you have to be quick on your toes because you have so many spells. You have to be able to switch and move away from your favorite spells and like go into like a resto momentum essentially, or a resto memento.
So you don't think
in order to drop like a yellow shielded enemy, or you have to like fucking use like Inferno to like
You're right. That's how the base gameplay works, but that's in like the normal mode as well. I'm saying in the hard difficulty, the gameplay is literally the same. The enemies just have more health.
And like in order to parry, like you have to have faster reaction time with it, because there's some like it's basically like any other game, like where there's attacks you can parry and some you can't parry, and like they increase like the or they decrease the time to where it gives you warning to like parry or whatever you have to do.
Yeah.
That's just my issue with that system. Sorry for cutting you off, but you can go after I say one point. My issue with that system is like, and this God of War has a similar issue. It just feels like I am just doing more tedious combat rather than more unique or interesting ones, at least in the hard difficulty.
Do they also increase? Sorry, do they also increase enemies more than just
yeah, they do.
Not like a
at the
significant
camps,
amount though, but it's not significant to the point where it really makes combat more difficult.
Right.
I mean, like it's like I said, just more tedious. Frankie, you can go, by the way.
So in that case, your idea of a better difficulty setting will be to, I don't know, to make the enemies have new attacks, new attack patterns, or maybe some new moves.
Yes, new attack patterns, like somewhat interesting mechanics that make it more difficult that you couldn't necessarily put in a vanilla game. Because a lot of times with games like this in the development phase, they like the developers will have ideas for mechanics and they're like, no, we can't do that. It's too difficult, and that's pretty common. I mean, like that happens. I feel like it's not hard to introduce new mechanics for a game like Hogwarts Legacy for a hard difficulty.
But here's my question: you do realize that putting new moves and new attack patterns only in the harder difficulties will be even more expensive. The people trying to make the game, because you're putting completely new movesets only in a particular setting. That will mean they have to spend even more money making that difference.
It's really not that significant amount of money for a new moveset. I don't think that's a lot of the money for a game like Hogwarts Legacy probably came from advertising because they did a fuck ton of it. It probably comes from like world design and all of the fucking meshes that they have to use for that game. I don't think them adding a few new spells for a harder difficulty or a few new blocking patterns or movement patterns like it would be that significant of a difference. I really don't.
Surely it would be New Game Plus that you'd be looking for, right?
I'm not too sure about New Game Plus. I didn't get that far into the game. But
no, I don't
know.
think it does have it. But I'm saying, would that not be like the expansion?
I mean,
you would have more spells. You would have more difficult enemies. They would move differently and stuff like that. That's kind of the way I'm thinking about it.
Probably, yeah. I just feel like a hard difficulty in a game. I feel like should have something more than just tedious fighting. Like that's just my only opinion on that.
I think for a game made after like a film, typically those games are shit. I mean, typically dog trash.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're setting the bar way too high. If you're into Harry Potter lore alone, walking through Hogwarts is fucking amazing in itself.
It is.
Yeah, I think it's more of a game for like.
Amazing. It's not. They're not trying to
like Potter fans.
They're not
people
trying to
who don't
create
play
Elden Ring.
games.
Yeah, they're not trying to create Elden Ring. What they're doing is they're creating this world that people love, and they're allowing us to walk around, touch, and feel things. And if you're into the books, there's even more depth to that world.
Yep, true.
You know, so and then now let's introduce the combat system and say, hey, look, this combat system is pretty fun and it's unique.
Yeah, I'll agree with that 100%. Yeah.
So like just those points alone, it's like. To me, it's a great game for what it is. Now, to expect it to be something more, I'm just surprised they didn't make another fucking shitty game or adaptation, like film adaptation. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just happy that wasn't the case. And I feel like we got a lot. And when it comes to like, I like to look at a game for $1 per hour, right? If you want 60 hours of content, dollar for dollar, this game is worth your fucking money.
True. Like I'm playing it right now. Like I have 100% game completion, be all the challenges, and now I'm just going around for like the collectibles, and then I'm gonna go create new characters for each house. That way I can be sorted in all the houses and have all the achievements. I'm still playing this shit. It's so fucking fun. Plus, like you said, like the game, the lore in this game isn't just wrapped around the movies. It's wrapped around book lore as well. Like Ominous Gone, like you don't know this in the movies, but Ominous Gone literally is a descendant from Voldemort. Like he is Salazar Slytherin's like heir, and it's fucking crazy. And like just
I think he's like his great uncle or something. It's crazy.
Yeah, I remember like the blind guy walking around Hogwarts. I mean, like it's
if you're a nerd like that, this game's gonna tickle. It's gonna scratch that itch.
I agree that they did a really good job adapting the movie and book series. I have high expectations for games, which is my fault for sure.
No,
I think they could have done a whole lot more with it.
It's okay. I think you bring up aside from Hogwarts, in terms of like games that have easy, normal, hard modes. Like I feel like you do bring up a good point.
Fucking God of War has a bajillion difficulties, and all it does is raise the health of enemies. I mean, that was another thing I said. I just also feel like. How much money did they put into Hogwarts? I'm actually curious. I don't know.
I think it's a bigger problem with AI. You know, they don't push AI enough in games anymore. You know, I remember when games like Metal Gear Solid came out. I think it was so fantastic because when that shit dropped, it was amazing. Like you would have enemies respond in like ways you've never seen them respond before, and that shit was like, wait, there's response levels. I could pick up the walkie-talkie and then stop the response. Like. You know what I'm saying? Like that shit was incredible, and it added this level of immersion that you don't see people seek or search for in games anymore. I was a big fan of Death Stranded. You want to talk about difficulty? Play that shit on hard difficulty and see if it's like not going to give you a fucking challenge. But people don't like to play games that are far outside of what they're typically used to. This game is essentially about carrying package. You're like a FedEx fucking guy on foot.
There's a game.
Go ahead.
There's a game called I think it's called like Play Against AI or something. It's like a platformer that dynamically adjusts your difficulty based on how well you're doing.
Is this the Japanese game called Boku no Pico?
No, that's definitely not.
No.
What about the Japanese game called Enzai?
Oh no.
No, I mean, I looked it up.
That one's worse, by the way.
Legacy's budget was 150 million, so I mean, it is definitely not a cheap game to produce. I feel like I don't know. I expect a lot from mechanics, and I know it's not something you necessarily should. I do 100 AI in games is definitely lacking a lot. Some games do it really well. All the Metal Gear games were fucking above and beyond. I mean, it's just a great series. Revengeance was fucking one of my. Metal Gear 5 and Revengeance are both some of my favorite games. I want to replay Revengeance.
I mean, there is like a problem with AI in games in terms of like you have to make them do specific actions in response to the player, right? Which already there can be a lot of problems with this because how like a really good player plays versus someone who just learned how to game is very different. And also if there's like any bugs or something like this, right? And the more complex these things get, the more susceptible they are to like bugs, right?
Right.
So one thing, and the other thing is, if you think about it, the actions that they have to do, can do, etc., right, is another factor. So in response to what you're doing, what kind of like actions can they actually do, and all of these things have to be programmed in, right? Like how does the artificial intelligence know whether to rush you when you're like hunkering down in a place or whether to like not do this? And then the second and last thing is like they have to make it so that the AI is challenging but not completely destroys you, right? So they have to like have, for example, an aimbot because that they then have to nerf. And then another thing is if you have different difficulty in terms of playing, right? Ideally, you wouldn't just adjust like the health values and the damage they do and the reaction time, but you would ideally also like increase the or like differentiate how they move and how they work as a group against you as a player and stuff like this, right?
Yeah, which is
so all of these things take a lot of resources to develop and then also to test and make sure they're bug free, right? And there's a lot of shit that can go wrong. While it might just be easier to have an enemy that just rushes at you like in a straight line, but then use like environment or other challenges to make the game more challenging for you, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, my whole point was just that with hard mode in games, they should include more difficult enemies, and that's kind of what I was saying about they shouldn't just be buffing health and damage, which is what they do in 80% of games.
Yeah,
but I think that's why if you add a more complex AI system, it allows you to do more with that difficulty system. You see what I'm saying? So it's like you would be able to add and take away a lot of those features, you know, like. And I feel like if someone was really hardcore, they would want an extremely complex AI system, opposed to the casual gamer who would want something a little less. You know, maybe enemies aren't going to do X, Y, and Z in the event of them finding a body. I think that Hitman does this really well.
Yeah, I don't really think there's much disagreement. I just think Hogwarts could have done better with the $150 million budget on hard mode. I mean, like I get their focus was not on difficulty because it's supposed to be a game that can be played by anyone of any ages, but it's just a little upsetting. I think that
the budget of 150.
Yes, I googled that 150 million.
What did GTA cost? Isn't it 100 million too?
Yeah, I think so.
GTA 5.
GTA 5 is about that.
Wait, what cost 100 million?
GTA 5.
No,
I think
but
it was
the other
about
one.
265
yeah, sure, but that was
million.
still
holy
that
shit.
was still €8.
Actually, no, it's 265.
Tonk, can you turn your camera off? You're capping the room.
Who?
It was still like 10 years ago, though, right? So 100 million.
They
could have
spent Tonks to turn this camera off. How dare you? Who are you even?
I'm a gangster.
That's incredibly
You're no
fucking
one.
offensive.
I feel
You're no one.
Nah, based. Telling cam users to turn their cam off is based.
No, you can all go fuck yourself.
Don't say that to me.
That's so mean.
Wait,
I mean,
no,
Tonks is cool and all, but
nice
don't cap
guy.
rooms.
How? But
Didn't
how are you
do it on purpose.
Okay,
Oh,
but
I
on
know you
Discord,
didn't. I
can't see how many
actually
people-
appreciate you and admire you for doing it as soon as somebody asked, because a lot of people don't.
Okay, but on Discord, you can't see how many people are in the room that you're in when you're in the room.
On a completely unrelated note, I'm
can't.
gonna leave now.
Well, yeah, you can.
How? How can you see how many people are in the room?
There are 25 people in the room right now.
Talking about
How do you know?
24.
How do you know?
Look at the camera again.
There's a number at the top of the chat right there.
Yeah, now it's limited.
I don't see it.
Well, then I don't
If
know.
you
It
hover-
sounds like a skill
hover
issue.
over- yeah,
Sounds like a
hover
skill
over
issue.
the chat, and then it says the
Could be a
population.
mobile
Or you could just
does
count it
not.
manually by multiplying, you know, horizontally and
exactly what
vertically.
I said. It's
I don't wanna do math.
4 by 5 plus 3. There you go.
4 by 5 plus 3. Fuck. I'm not doing that.
Okay, that's my fault. I'm sorry, man.
You're good. You can
Yeah.
ask Alien about how I feel about math. I don't like math.
Math is the
I won't
worst
say I don't like.
subject.
Your life would be so much easier if you did.
No, it wouldn't. My life would be so much. The amount of math I have to do every day is so.
Having knowledge over basic
But
multiplication
life is more interesting when you have math. The math brings light to life. Life
the
would be so.
language of the
If there was no math, I would kill myself.
There'd be no there would be no
I
archaeology
mean-
if there wasn't math, right?
Math is cool.
I just
like that.
the problem is
But, like-
without math, I would get inconceivably bored, and there just would be no
You wouldn't
point.
be able to build anything, right?
I mean, math is cool, I guess, but it really is like super. It's.
I'm glad that you can finally admit it that math is cool.
I mean, but its usage for me is so niche compared to something
What do you
like.
mean?
I just gave
Math
you
is all around you.
So like, I have to.
Do you ride a
So, like-
bicycle or drive a car or get on a train?
Kind of gets piggy bank.
Yeah,
You're interacting with math.
I'm
in
saying
real
that like
time.
I'm saying that like
Every
me
day.
personally. So like, I'm not doing math when I'm looking at my speedometer.
Okay, but also
Yeah, but life is more interesting.
Wouldn't
with math.
understand it.
I mean, you
But, like-
also can look at your fucking computer. That, like being on any computer device, it's entirely math. It's.
I'm
like,
not
yeah.
saying that math is
bunch of
bad.
calculations.
I'm
Yeah,
just
but
saying
it's-
that for me, like I'd rather I like
Acknowledging
English.
the fact that without math we would be nothing is pretty important, though.
I agree.
Jesus Christ! You just say math is exhausting. What the fuck?
Yeah, I agree. I'm just saying that I don't like doing it.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not exhausting, dude. Don't you want to like be able like if I were to give you the chart of like a random curve and ask you to like rotate it about like some axis and create a 3D object, wouldn't you want to be able to flex on me and tell me what the volume of that object is?
I could do half
Like
of
that's
that.
just based. Like
could
being able to do that
probably-
is based.
I could rotate it, but I couldn't tell you the volume of it. I couldn't print
Yeah, you can. You could with math.
Okay, I don't know how. I'm saying like right now.
Yeah. I mean, this is where math comes in. Yeah.
Okay, but to me, it's like that's like I've never had someone just like do that to me. But like things like literary analysis have like helped me massively in like being like a global citizen.
Yeah, but
Or-
think about what literary analysis is, right? Literary analysis is it's just like what like math is, but math is like analysis of numbers or things or objects in the world, right? So it's much more interesting because like I agree with you. Literary analysis is great. It's fun. But I think math is like infinitely more interesting because I can actually model real objects that exist and I can determine and solve real problems in the world as opposed to, you know, harping on about the aesthetics of something, which is
Well, it's
nice.
not about
I enjoy
the,
doing
It's not
that,
about the
but-
aesthetics. Literary
but what's
analysis
more?
is about literary analysis.
Oh,
is
aesthetic
about,
is a massive part of
no literary
analysis. What do you mean?
analysis. I mean, that's like basic literary analysis is like the style of like the writing.
I
But
don't think
like,
Of course, yeah. The style of
but,
the
like-
writing and the style of the writing is actually what drives into its aesthetic, right? Being
So,
able to
like-
identify aesthetic patterns within writing is incredibly important for literary analysis. Like, if I were to tell you to read a book, like, would you be able to tell me if it abides by like Apollonian aesthetic or Dionysian aesthetic? Like, being able to identify that is incredibly important.
I agree. I'm talking about literary analysis in the context of.
Yes, I am too.
I'm talking about literary analysis in the context of media literacy.
Yeah,
So being,
I am too.
Okay. I don't.
What I just said are real things, and they are in fact a way to analyze all of art, literature, anything that has to do with any sort of aesthetic, anything that is of artistic merit.
I can't have this conversation with you if you're going to keep interrupting me.
We're talking about the same thing. You don't seem to realize that we are.
Okay.
I don't feel he's interrupting you, Nurse, to be honest. I do think he's giving me time to respond.
Come on, it's what? Your fucking monitor? What the hell am I looking at?
What?
Demonic's fucking monitor is so goddamn long. Look at his stream.
No.
Oh, that's sick. It's because he has an ultra wide. Ultra wide is based ultra wide user.
I mean, how old are you?
I'm in my 20s.
Prefer 2 monitors.
How have you been on Discord all night? I came on. I talked to you at like 9 o'clock last night. Then I went to bed, and then I woke up at 5 a.m.
Do you think he didn't do the exact same thing as you?
Yeah, I mean, I took about took a power nap, but
You just ask someone on DGG why they were degenerate.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, yeah. Sometimes I don't sleep. I mean, is that a problem to you?
Alien, are you on that like?
You know what's crazy actually? You know what's crazy actually is not only sometimes do I not sleep or I just power nap. I'm also going to get up in about 3 hours and go to a lecture. 3 hours.
You're in
Go to what? Electric?
A lecture.
A lecture. Okay.
He's gonna get electrocuted.
I'm gonna. Well, actually, what's gonna happen is I'm gonna get electrocuted by my professor. Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Electrocuted knowledge.
Yeah.
So what they're
I'm gonna get little tingly brain zaps.
They're gonna hook you up to a car battery and make you do a math equation to determine the voltage.
Well, yeah. So he's gonna start reading from Walter Rudin's Real and Complex Analysis and start asking me if I know like things in the book. And every time I get it wrong, he's gonna fucking complete the circuit on the car battery. Just let it run.
That's crazy.
Dude, college is great. I love it.
I've seen some of the fun mods and stuff like that they've added for Hogwarts, which look
Alien,
good.
I wish I could show you my math homework whenever I was doing it. Do you know what one of my questions for math was?
What?
6 minus 9.
-3. Duh.
I mean, listen,
Oh,
I'm
6
not gonna.
9. Not 9 minus 6.
I mean, that's what
I'm not
happens when you're in the remedial class.
I'm not going to sit here and belittle you. Everybody starts out at different places, and everybody needs like different amount of work to put in work to be able to be adept at like different subjects, and that's completely fine. So I don't know if you like expect me to sit here and belittle you. I mean, I'm not. I think that if you actually give math if you actually give math your attention and allow yourself to be taken over by it, or like enthralled with it, even, I think that you can like be good at it.
I think that
I don't care where you're starting, even if you're starting at 6 minus 9.
I'm not starting. I'm solving like linear equations. So like I'm doing like
like algebra, right?
Yeah, like pre-algebra.
Okay. That's fine.
It is so. I wish I could like it. I just don't. I just don't like it.
Wait, linear algebra or algebra?
Math.
Because
not
linear
algebra.
Linear algebra is.
There's a lot of
He's not talking about linear algebra.
But I know he's not talking about linear algebra. He's talking about like mx plus b. But
Wait, why wouldn't he be talking about linear algebra? Though? Is it because it's easier?
Because he doesn't know what linear algebra is, and he's
saying he hates a higher level course.
What's linear algebra?
It's because he doesn't know what linear algebra is. He's confusing linear algebra with just algebra. He's doing like mx plus b. I was just being autistic.
What are linear equations?
Well, linear algebra is a different.
Basically about lines.
Linear algebra is a higher level like course.
Okay.
Basically.
Okay, but if he hated just like math, he could hate like the preset math though, like the first algebra, not like the advanced stuff. How can he get to the advanced stuff if he doesn't even like the first one?
Listen, I was being autistic because he said linear algebra when he meant that he was just doing algebra. Okay, that was literally just me being like autism. Okay, thank you.
I didn't hear that part where he was talking about linear algebra.
Just hates maths. Goddamn maths.
Because I just heard that he said I hate math. That's it. Yeah.
So awful. I can't.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of like a problem with. I don't know how like people teach it as well, because like a lot of the stuff like that you need to learn before you start doing that higher level math is boring, right? And if you don't have sort of like an end goal, or like you're not sort of shown like what it can end up like or what math can end up being, it just seems like you're doing like these equations for no apparent good reason, and it leads people to think like, oh, this is just boring. This is all math is, when it's clearly. Yeah, it could be, but like a lot of kids like have trouble finding like the joy in doing the thing for the sake of doing the thing. They like a lot of people like set up this sort of, or like go into something like school or whatever with a framework like, oh, like I need to be able to use this or else I'm gonna find it boring or useless, and they just don't even give it a chance. And that that doesn't help either. But yeah, like it's just.
But do you not have applied maths? Is applied maths not a thing taught in school? Like
it is, but like that's a later thing. I'm talking about like algebra, like trigonometry, geometry, like early level courses.
Things like a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And that shit.
Yeah, like those types of things. Like,
but it's pretty easy to see where you'd use them in normal life, unless you're.
No. It is now, not when you're a kid,
Not
though.
for a kid though.
Well, what age do you learn that, though?
I don't know where like I'm going to be needing to use this. I can't. And every single
Nurse,
time I get.
Yeah, Nurse, I'm gonna say right out the bat that is a terrible way to think about things.
I'm not saying that that's the reason why that I should be learning it. I'm
not
not
gonna lie, you will be using these things. You just don't know when.
Okay, I'm not saying
something else. Something else to keep in mind is like even if you don't use it, what it's doing is it's helping you learn about like logical thinking, and like whether you realize it or not, your ability to like logically think about things is going to exponentially be increased by learning mathematics, in like other fields, other things that are applicable. So like other things that may not seem applicable on the surface, right? So like
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I should be learning it.
Yeah, because I was gonna say the reason why I like math is because you at the end, like especially like like basic math, you basically get an ending, right? And you can basically solve to find an ending. And a lot of areas in life, some things are unpredictable. So yeah, that's why I like math.
Nurse, you're studying computer science, right?
No.
Wait, what are you studying?
Wait, who?
Education.
Education?
Yeah.
I thought you were like a programmer or something.
Wait, what do you mean by education? Are you trying to be a teacher or what? What do you
We've
mean?
had conversations about this, Nurse, and I'm
Yeah.
telling you right now, them little ass shitheads gonna come up to you with questions, and you're gonna want to give them answers.
Yeah, like, do you know how to do shared resource problems, mama?
I'm not saying that I shouldn't be able to learn this. I'm just saying that I hate it, and like I wish I could love it, and I understand why people love it, but it is just so not what I feel like my brain is built for.
You'll learn to love math when you figure out how annoying doing law stuff is, because it's unpredictable sometimes.
Law, like
Yeah.
crimes.
You're
No, I
completely
mean, like-
missing like what's going on.
Yeah, you just jump in the shark there, I think.
Listen, this might be a ridiculous question, but do they not use math within music? Obviously,
No.
Nurse is quite a fan
Not
of music,
really.
right?
Oh, we don't-
Oh, is
specific
that
theory,
incorrect?
like
Wait,
the
are you
theory
talking about?
behind it might like utilize math, or like there might be some mathematical like things.
Yeah, if
you
you're
can
learning
glean
about like
from
sine
music, but,
waves and shit like that.
but, like,
No.
well, that's more to do.
No.
Yeah, but
for
I'm not having.
for modular synthesis, you don't need.
But like,
Well, it's a
Sorry,
certain
the-
line
the-
spacing between
But,
lines,
like-
and that's a measurement, and that's
but
math.
like
so.
if you're gonna like write music or like play music, you don't necessarily even necessarily even need to know how to read a sheet of music. Like
No.
Okay.
like,
Just
I
not
kinda-
Wait, did you
not-
say
not
to
a
write
requirement.
music?
No.
Read, play, whatever.
In order
Yeah,
to
when
learn
I-
music, you
yeah,
need to
I mean,
learn
I
how to
play-
write sheet music. You don't need to learn like math or anything.
Fine, I apologize.
Yeah, I mean, I've played jazz. I mean, I've played jazz saxophone for like my entire
Like
teenage
jazz.
years.
When I
and,
was
like,
younger, I
don't-
used to be bad at math, and but I could read, like I could play music, you know. Like I
Yeah,
literally
maths-
learned sheet music, and it was fine. Yeah.
You
I
only
feel
need
like-
to know maths for music if you're learning like the theory behind it, or if you're just playing an instrument. Then
You don't need to know math for
Yeah.
music theory. My music theory is
Yeah,
awful.
no,
and I
like-
know, and like I'm friends with like some of the best, or the best jazz tenor player in all of.
No, I'm talking about like
No,
the physics
the
behind sound waves and.
Oh.
Well, that's physics. That's not
Okay.
music.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah,
the
the
physics
music-
behind the music, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but
it's not
who
music.
Kind of, right?
cares? You don't need to
Like
know
no,
that.
kind of,
You're just-
because
you
deaf,
Well, if you don't
just-
use,
deaf people use that though to be able to listen to music. Yeah.
I mean, if you use like multiple, I mean, because like there's different like counting methods, but like since we already have those on basis, it's not like we need to like do mathematical equations to figure this shit out. Like
Yeah.
it's just pacing, like muscle memory. That's all basically like music. I mean, like
Yeah.
yeah, you can learn the
It
theory,
is, yeah.
but like it's just pacing. That's all it is. Like
It
I don't know
truly is,
anything about
yeah.
music theory, but I can still learn like scales on the guitar. Like
I mean, I've learned music theory a little bit just to see if it would improve me, but like you generally don't need it because like when you're gonna learn sheet music and just to play the music, literally just that will you'll be fine. Like you'll be able
Yeah.
to whatever instrument you're using, Yeah.
Actually, fun fact: I'm pretty sure that like mathematic ability and like music writing capability are directly correlated.
I mean, what kind
You
of
you
music
said
writing? Are you
music
talking about
writing. Like
what
I
kind
know
of
what you're saying.
what kind of music
Yeah.
writing are you talking about? That's a pretty nebulous term. Like, are you talking about like producing? Are you talking about just like writing sheet music?
Well,
Like doing
producing
like
Yeah,
isn't
but
producing
Writing
is producing. It's not really making or writing music.
what
yeah,
is
I
it?
think he's talking about like
Producing is
It's
like
not
the
writing
guy,
with
something.
in the studio
Yeah.
sitting behind the the sound thing, like mixing shit.
No, that's engineering.
That's a producer.
That's
No,
a
it's
Yeah,
different
not.
wait,
thing.
but that is a
No,
music
it's not.
producer
That's
though.
That's an
That is what a
engineer.
producer is.
That's a
Yeah.
But that
producer.
is a music producer
No,
though.
it's not.
An audio engineer is a producer.
What, buddy?
Don't take the pump fake. Don't take the pump fake. Don't. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
We all know what a producer
Yeah, but a
is.
producer doesn't
You
have
don't
to be an
actually have
audio
a
engineer to
music
be a producer.
producer in the room, I think. You don't
Oh,
actually
the
have a
producer is the
music
guy who makes
producer
the
in
beat.
the room.
A producer is the person who has
There
the
there are
money,
different
right, and the
there are
studio,
different
and
functions.
they do the audio engineering functions like recording a band. Okay.
That is the
That's
engineer.
Mhm.
no,
You're
that's
just
the
wrong.
producer.
Producer
That is
is the
the
guy who produces it. Simple.
Why are you? You don't know. If you ask anybody,
Yes,
like
I do
in
know. I
We
even
get
know.
tagged
I
in.
even
When we
know. I
ask
even know a
anybody, they
producer
literally
offhand.
said
Steve
producer.
Albini. Steve Albini is a producer.
Before you started
Okay,
that sentence.
This is the
I've,
difference between Nurse who's interacting with this is like when you say producer in like a rap space or anything like that, they specifically talk about the person who made the beat that you're rapping over. Whereas like when
Oh,
you say music producer, you're using it in like the classic term, meaning the person who actually does like the mixing and the sound engineering. That's why he's
yeah.
calling him
That's
an engineer, because when they say producer, they mean guy who made beat. When they say engineer,
okay.
they mean engineer. When you say producer, you mean engineer, but for you, it's the
Well,
same
but
thing.
that's not
Yeah,
really a producer. That's
they
the
don't
music.
typically know
That's
what
the
they're
music
talking about.
creator. That's the writer.
that's
Wait,
okay.
what?
In music,
Nah,
it
so
would be
in
the
rap,
person that
yeah.
you're
Wait,
talking
what?
about is
Wait,
the
In rap,
engineer,
the person who
and the
makes the
person
beat
that
is
Okay.
always the person who makes the who writes the
yeah,
rap.
exactly
So a
what
lot of
Demon
times,
is saying.
yeah, a lot of times the producer, like Kanye West, is like a famous producer where he's made shitloads of beats, but he's only a rapper when he's on the songs he's on. So like
Yeah, but he's a
people like Mac Miller
songwriter.
will
He writes
use.
songs.
Yeah, but people will use
Sometimes.
different names. So like Mac
Well, I
Miller,
mean,
when he's
yeah.
rapping on a song, will call himself Mac Miller, and then when Mac Miller is making beats for other people to rap on, he calls himself Larry Fisherman, or did when he was alive.
Okay,
Yeah, sure,
wait.
but like,
What's
when he writes the song itself, he wrote the music, right? He didn't write
Yeah.
the lyrics, right? But he wrote the music. Yeah, so he's a writer.
Technically, in a weird way, on Bandcamp, yeah, it's not gonna look like sheet music, but there is like a file where he mixed and matched and made a piece of music. Yeah.
The best person to use as this example is Dr. Dre, which Dr. Dre
I
says
was
he's a
literally
music
gonna ask about
producer,
Dr. Dre. Yeah.
but like he uses sound engineers to like go over the product, tweak it, do stuff like that. He's the producer, not the engineer.
I thought the
Like
difference was Dre was the engineer on all his things he produces, though. That's how he
no,
got
I
his
think
start
he
as a
came.
producer.
I think he says he has other people to engineer under it, but he
Yeah,
mainly produces the beat. Like he makes the beat. You know what I'm saying? The engineer just tweaks the sound, makes the
Yeah, so
808
he's like
sound.
he's like a songwriter, and he has like producers come in and help him like engineer like audio the music, audio engineer the music.
You're arguing semantics. If you would go into the music space, they would not acknowledge what you're talking about.
Yeah, they would. Yeah, Steve
They
Albini
would.
is a producer. He does exactly what I'm talking about. He doesn't
Okay.
write music, but
All
he's
right,
a producer.
All right, dog.
Okay, so
you
like
got
I've worked in studios, I've worked in this industry. You're just nobody, at least in my neck of the woods, people don't use these terms in the way that you're using them.
Yeah, someone just made that point.
Yeah, no, I guess we're just like in different scenes because in like everything I'm familiar with, they're called producers and they do audio engineering.
Yeah, it's literally just the difference between like in a rap centric space or like an R&B centric space, producer means guy who makes beat, and then in the rap in like a rock or like a more like classical approach, producer means guy who does the audio mixing.
Well, also there's an overlap, especially when you're mentioning beat making, because they do make the beat, they do equalize the beat, they do the sound engineering for the beat, so they are actually producing something. But
Yeah,
they
there's
may
a bit of
not.
overlap.
Yeah, but if you're looking
I
at
mean,
like
but
a
engineering it typically like means that it's like the vocals. You're mixing the vocals.
right, but if
Or
you're
you're
mixing, your
mastering the
beat can
track.
have, they use vocal samples and they remaster
Yeah, but like
stuff. So
that's not super common.
Yeah, but I would never say Steve Albini wrote Spiderland. I would just say that he produced it.
Okay, cool.
He didn't play any of the instruments. He didn't sing. He didn't do any of that.
It's Spiderland by Slint. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Where's my pop?
All right.
Actually,
so
wait.
example,
Was
like
Steve
Dr.
Albini a
Dre.
producer on that album? I don't know if he was. It doesn't
Don't
matter.
just stand here, operate.
Listen, Dr. Dre produces Kendrick Lamar's album, right? Like
He
doesn't
he
rap
didn't
on it or anything like that.
he didn't make
makes
the beats. I don't. Did he make the beats for T-Pop?
for his early like Good Kid, Mad City, and stuff.
I
Like
don't even
that.
think he produced all this stuff for Good Kid, Mad City.
Say what again? Sorry, I got
I don't even think. No, it was like a lot of people. It was Dre, Pharrell, Hit Boy.
Yeah, there was multiple people on it, but the predominant like songs were Dre. That was his like the only album that Dre actually touched, I believe.
I don't know.
After that, he got.
I know Knowledge did some of the beats for. I'm pretty sure Knowledge did some of the beats for To Pimp a Butterfly. Knowledge is sick.